Good morning, everybody. Welcome you to the course. And starting on the talk on wound construction, every step in phacosurgery is critical, none so other than the incision. Because the nightmare for every phacosurgeon is an endophthalmitis. Though there are multifactorial reasons for an endophthalmitis, there is a direct relationship between a poorly constructed wound and the incidence of endophthalmitis. A point of a well-constructed wound cannot be given more emphasis than this. So exactly how do we construct a wound which is good and we consider to be a well-balanced, neutral, self-sealing wound? Not only does a corneal incision act as a point of access for your surgeries, but it is also a refractive tool to address corneal astigmatism. So if you have a wound which is too central and too wide, you are going to end up with post-op refractive errors and an astigmatism. It not only acts as a barrier against infections, but also is a large determinant to your phacofluidics. So a poorly constructed wound is going to lead to bad phacofluidics and shallow chamber and complications thereon. So looking at the characteristics which your good incision should have, it should be well-balanced, watertight, stable. Needless to say that it should be sutureless, self-sealing and neutral. Coming to each of these individually during my talk further, when we are looking at an incision, we are looking at two basic parameters that we are addressing. One is the location where we are making the incision and the architecture. Between the two, that is the architecture and the location, the architecture is more important because this is the one that leads to the stability of the wound. When we are talking of the location of the wound, what's important is where are we going to place the incision. It's very important to realize that since we are addressing the astigmatism, it's important to place it on the steeper axis. So coming to where are we going to place the incision, another thing is wherever we place the incision, it's important to remember that there is going to be some amount of flattening in that particular axis. How much of flattening in that particular axis is again dependent on the width of the incision, which is directly proportional to the amount of astigmatism and inversely proportional to the distance you have it from the center of the cornea. The other thing that we would want to consider is how much astigmatism are we going to induce. So if we are doing a clear corneal incision, your wound has to be less than 3 millimeters to have an astigmatically neutral incision. In case for some reason you need to make an incision which is 5 to 6 millimeters, you need to step 2 millimeters away from the limbus onto the sclera. And this is your incision funnel. Any incision that is made in this incision funnel will be astigmatically neutral. The other thing that we are going to look at the location is whether we want to place it temporally or we want to place it nasally. When we are looking at from the astigmatic issue, a temporal incision is better than a nasal incision. Another factor that we keep in mind is whether the patient is a right-handed patient or a the surgeon is a right-handed surgeon or a left-handed surgeon. Usually right-handed surgeons will make it between 10 and 11 o'clock and the left-handed makes it between 1 and 2 o'clock. So this is also the access to the wound. So if you have a deep socket eye, you're going to make a temporal incision as against a superior incision. So the important characteristics are where you want to place the incision, your steeper axis, the clock hour you want to keep it, and the exact size of your incision. Another very important point I want to make is your side port, though we consider it as stab incisions and just paracentesis wounds, they should be 60 to 90 degrees apart. So this is my next video where I want to emphasize an incision which is not made well. The two instruments are too close to each other and this is not a well constructed wound. This is going to hamper your movement of your chopper into the eye and not cause good chopping which is necessary. Coming to the next is the architecture. And architecture, like I said, is more important because on this depends your size, your shape and your internal contour, which is the most important part for the stability of the wound. Coming to the architecture of the wound, you make an incision which is of the exact size. It's very important to have a 3 contour incision. You can have a 1 contour or a 2 contour, and the traverse, that is the chord length into the cornea, should be 1.5 to 2 millimeters. This gives the best incision and it should be square shape. Coming to the next video, where we make the paracentesis stab wounds, we should have, instead of a too steep axis which will tend to cause the iris prolapsing, we should have a little bit that goes towards the center. So your MVR blade should actually point towards the center before you're making the incision. Now we make the first groove, which is 2.5 to 2.8 millimeters. You take a diamond knife. So the width of your incision is obviously predetermined, whether it is 2.2 or 2.8 depending on your keratome. What's important is it has to be placed parallel to the iris plane, and then when you go 2.5 millimeter into the depth of the cornea, you can cause an entry into the anterior chamber. Sometimes you will see dimpling which can be seen when you're crossing the descemet. So what happens is, if you make a too steep, if you have placed your instrument too steep to the cornea, you end up making a very short tunnel. And this can cause all your intraocular axis coming out of the iris prolapsing out. If it is placed too flat, you may tend to make a too long tunnel, and this actually causes your viewing into the anterior chamber not very good, and also your access of your instruments into the anterior chamber not very good. The best thing is to have is your keratome should be placed exactly parallel to the iris plane. So again, coming to the dimensions, do not try to put in a probe which is 2.2 millimeter, a 2.8 millimeter. If your phaco probe is 2.8, don't try to put it through a 2.2 just because a smaller incision is a big height. This can sometimes cause a wound burn. Lack of time, so I'm just going to say that we are going to be, if we have an overpressure tunnel, you can cause too short a tunnel. If you have an underpressure, that means you don't use enough viscoelastic substance, you can cause too long a tunnel. And your edges of the wound will not be too straight. So coming to the complications of your incision. An incision which is not of the right depth, that is, if it is too superficial, you can have roofing of the incision like was shown earlier. So it's very important to be in the depth where you're not too superficial, where you can have a shallow roof. It's important that your roof and the floor should be of the right depth. It's also important when we are making the incision and we make the corneal blood vessels are landmarks. So when we are going a little anterior towards the corneal blood vessels, we are in the clear cornea, and a little bleeding like this is important when we want the healing of the incision to occur well. If you are too posterior, you could be causing ballooning of the conjunctiva, or sometimes you can even have a descemet strip like this. Coming to another video which tells us about a incision which is too small, where the probe has been pushed in, can cause wound burns. Very important to remember is when your probe is inside the main tunnel, there should be some egress of fluid on either sides of the tunnel. This causes the cooling of the tip. Also, when you have a viscoelastic, please concentrate at the level of the wound, and there is the wound burned at the end of a MATCAT. So responsible for this is continuous energy. Pulse energy is very, very forgiving, and that can cause cooling at the tip. Another important thing is too tight an incision where there is not enough of fluid that enters into the anterior chamber can cause these wound burns. And sometimes we use viscoelastic and we directly go in and try to do the crack. It's better always to aspirate the viscoelastic from the anterior chamber before we go in and cause the occlusion. So interesting case like this, say you've had a too shallow wound where you've also had an iris prolapse happening. And we've tried to do the CCC, but when we are trying this, we are realizing that from the same port that we are gone in, our iris is prolapsing out through that port. At this stage, it is better to push your iris in, close the wound with a suture. There is no harm in taking a suture rather than trying to finish the surgery through that wound. Close the suture, close the wound with your suture, change the position where you are sitting, take another access point, make a new stab incision. A fresh surgery can be restarted and it will go completely as normal. So you can go ahead and complete your surgery as usual. Coming to another important thing, all of us probably reuse our blades, autoclave our blades. And what's important is to remember, never try to push a blunt blade through your wound. It's very difficult and very bad because it can cause a Descemet strip at any time. Another thing that can happen, and I want you to concentrate on the internal lip of the incision here, where you are going to get a bevel shape. And this is not good because you are going to induce astigmatism with such an incision. If you look at the internal lip, we have a screw. So ending up this, very important is a square-shaped incision and the hydro, where it's very important to cause your AC not collapsing. Make sure that there is no egress of the fluids from the exterior into the interior, because this can sometimes cause endophthalmitis. Thank you.
Thank you, Janet.